Hey, so I want to mention something that I think is important here. I notice when people first start to awaken on a spiritual level, the first thing they realize is that they're not their body. They're more than their body. They are consciousness experiencing itself individually in the physical plane, using the body as a vessel. Then they start to realize what really happens when they die. Those people might start watching videos of people who have had like near-death experiences. I know I did. And these people remembered being carried into a white light through a tunnel and brought to the presence of what they thought was the all. This presence seems to give off a very loving energy from what they describe, and gives them a review of their life. From videos that I've personally seen during these life reviews, people say that they remember feeling stupid for the things that they did and are made to feel like they must correct these mistakes. It seems reasonable. So after feeling bad about what they've done, these people realize that they're being sent back to their body because, remember, they're not actually dying, or they were, but it was a near-death experience, so they get put back. Now, when you give this some thought, it becomes apparent what is likely to happen next. After the life review, you will be offered to reincarnate onto the earth to correct your mistakes and start a new body-soul contract, so to speak. Of course, after experiencing the feeling of regret, a lot of souls will agree to this and return to the earth, not realizing, though, that they will forget this ever happening. Nor will they remember the previous life. They'll be returning to hell, the physical plane, the plane of suffering, not because they were made to, because they chose to. Is this not manipulation? But don't get me wrong, though. A lot of what we do is not good. What we eat sometimes, what we believe. But that does not mean we should go back to the earth to settle the karma. You're supposed to settle this in the spiritual worlds on your way up to the source. That's the way it should be. So think for a moment. When you first die, you can't just be zipped back to supreme consciousness in the blink of an eye. All ancient teachings say that work is required. Cleansing is needed, hence purgatory, or what people call that. You can't return to the source with a material baggage. You must let all of that go after you die. But anyway, right when you die, you're not in an extremely high state. You're not in an extremely high spiritual plane. You got to realize that. Not at all. You're in this lower, like, astral sort of plane. Just low enough for your soul to function without a body. In a lower astral plane, think about it. It's apparent that unconditional love and consciousness shouldn't really be experienced yet. But it is. Is it real? You got to think about that for a second. Now think about the control system on the earth. Would it be so hard to conceptualize the system of manipulation extending beyond the physical plane just for a little bit? Not at all, I think, considering the rituals these controllers engage in and the malevolent, non-physical entities that they create. The life review and reincarnation is a trap that these controllers use to ensure souls return to the earth for all of eternity. If all souls did not reincarnate, and the only ones that incarnated onto the earth were experiencing the human form for the first time on the cycle of necessity, there would be a lot less humans on the earth. Because think about it, you only have fresh humans coming in. You're not having the old ones being recycled. That means less people to control, less souls to harvest energy from. With the nasty food they encourage you to eat, TV programming, and all sorts of distractions to basically make you feel helpless and forget about the transcendent spiritual being that you actually are. The last thing they want is for you to realize that and to never come back to the earth and become a transcendent spiritual being in oneness with all that is. They'll run out of energy for their control scheme very quickly. So the Gnostics teach that there's a creator being called the Demiurge. He's not the supreme god, so to speak, but he's like a lesser, gross creator that manifests what we see in the world, and also, as you probably know if you're familiar with this, can be corrupted. Just Google corruption of the Demiurge. It's a fairly common Gnostic idea. But anyway, the goal, they say, is to strive to be with the higher creator after death. The one that does not influence reality like the Demiurge does. The one that is transcendent and just, he kind of observes. This is the true heaven. So I believe that the presence that speaks to you in the light at the end of the tunnel is not even the Demiurge, but it's a complete manipulation, a program almost, a manifestation of your own mind that's projected out of what you think God should be. But it isn't God at all. Remember, you're in a low-level astral plane. I mean, how could you be experiencing the source? Before even being able to surpass the Demiurge and continue up Jacob's ladder to the all that is, you get sucked in by that light, and it's manipulated by this manifestation of your mind that you think is God, but really it's just a low-level astral program. So the goal then is obvious. Aside from living as pure a life as you can, when you die, do not go into the light. To close, I want to share a passage with you real quick from The Light of Egypt, Volume 1. If you've seen some of my recent videos, I kind of, I lean toward that book. It's actually, I support it a lot. I'd highly recommend it. It's by Thomas Burgoyne. But anyway, the passage is this. It seems very strange that the external followers of the path which leads to physical reincarnation can be so blind as to imagine that this earth is the only place within God's infinite universe whereon divine justice can be satisfied, and due punishment meted out to the evildoer. The life beyond is much more real, far more earnest, and a much more conscious life than here on earth. Surely, then, the soul can work out its redemption there better than here. So thoroughly materialistic are the ideas conveyed in the above extract that one would think that esoteric Buddhism was nothing but materialism run to seed. According to such erroneous theories, we are to believe that recompense for evil-doing is impossible except by physical rebirth. The talented author of Art, Magic, and Ghostland, who for years had investigated the various unseen realms of life for himself, gives the world the brief results of his lifelong research in the latter work. I'm leaving some stuff out here. Speaking upon reincarnation, the author says, the universal and reiterated assertions of myriads of spirits in every stage of a progressive beyond convinced me that there is no return to mortal birth, no retrogression in the scale of cosmic being, as a return to material incarnations undoubtedly would be, and all the demands of progress, justice, and advancement are supplied by the opportunities offered the soul in the sphere of spiritual existence. Think about it. The all that is, whatever you want to call it, the supreme God at the very top, would require you to shed off your materialism before returning to it. Makes sense? So why would a God like that send you back down into the material in order to prepare? If the goal was to shed off the material, it doesn't make sense. So I want to show you guys some of the video that brought this into my reality, that allowed me to awaken to this truth. It's a pretty good video. Try to humor the text-to-speech program, but it's actually pretty good, to be honest. It's not too bad. It's fairly easy to listen to. It's one of the ones that actually I can understand, because some of them are pretty bad. But anyway, thanks for watching.
When a person's body dies, they move out into the astral realms and begin to shed most of their previously held identity. If this process were allowed to occur without interruption, the true light of that being would emerge from within them and release layer upon layer of limiting beliefs generated in that incarnation. However, within the prison system, what happens is the lords of karma intercept that being just as their light is starting to emerge from within and surround them in a dazzling display of colorful external light. This is why most people with near-death experiences report going through a tunnel of light. The dazzling outer display distracts the being and hypnotizes them through frequency entrainment and activation of any and all religious programming that being had been exposed to during their incarnation. The lords of karma and other members of the false light hierarchy such as the archangels and ascended masters will often be present in the background during this process. As the individual is filled with a feeling of universal love and connectedness, they are told that this feeling is coming into them from the external beings of light that surround them. However, this feeling of universal oneness and love is actually emerging from inside the person and is being reflected back to them by the lords of karma. The individual doesn't have any time to reflect on what is happening because they are quickly moved into the life review phase of the process. They are shown a little movie of their life which focuses only on the disappointments, unfulfilled desires, painful experiences and hurtful actions the person experienced during their life. Through this biased and manipulated life review, the being is made to feel bad about their life, which is exactly what the lords of karma want. They tell the person that even though they failed at so many things in their life, they will be given a chance to go back one more time and get things right in a new incarnation. The person is